I'm 52 years old now, and for 5 years I've been keeping the biggest secret imaginable, one that cost me my marriage, my privacy, and nearly my sanity. In the fall of 2019, I found something in the woods behind my property in northern Washington that shouldn't exist. When I tried to do the right thing and report it, men in black SUVs showed up at my door within hours. They didn't take what I'd found. They told me to keep it, and they've been watching me ever since. This is the story of how I became the unwilling keeper of proof that we are not alone in these forests, and how the government has known about it all along. October 14th, 2019. That's the date everything changed. I was 47 then, living on 12 acres of mixed forest and meadow about 40 miles southeast of Bellingham, Washington. The property backed up to thousands of acres of national forest, the kind of place where you can go days without seeing another person. That's exactly why I'd bought it after my divorce 3 years earlier. I was a data analyst for an insurance company. I worked from home 4 days a week. I lived alone except for my dog, a German Shepherd mix named Murphy. My life was quiet, predictable, and exactly what I needed after 20 years of marriage had ended badly. That morning was unseasonably warm for mid-October, 72 degrees and sunny. I decided to walk the perimeter of my property, something I did every few weeks to check the fence line and clear any fallen branches. Murphy trotted ahead of me, nose to the ground, tail wagging. We were maybe half a mile into the woods when Murphy stopped. His whole body went rigid, his hackles raised. He started a low, continuous growl I'd never heard from him before. Not at strangers, not at other dogs, not at anything. "What is it, boy?" He wouldn't move forward. He planted his feet and kept growling, eyes fixed on something deeper in the trees. That's when I smelled it. Death has a specific smell, sweet and rotten and wrong. I'd smelled it twice before in my life, once when a deer died near my childhood home, once when I discovered a deceased homeless man while hiking in Seattle. This was that smell, but stronger. Overwhelming. I tied Murphy to a tree. He whined and pulled against the leash, but I wasn't taking him closer to whatever was producing that stench. I pulled my shirt up over my nose and moved forward. The body was in a small clearing about 30 yards ahead, partially hidden by a fallen Douglas fir. From a distance, I thought it was a bear, a really big bear, maybe a grizzly, though they were rare this far west. I got within 20 feet before I realized what I was actually seeing. It was lying on its side, one massive arm stretched out, the other curled against its chest. The fur was dark brown, almost black in places, matted with blood and forest debris. The size was wrong for any animal I knew. The proportions were wrong. And the hand. The hand had 4 fingers and an opposable thumb. I stopped breathing. The face was turned away from me, but I could see the shape of the skull. Too large, too pronounced in the brow. The shoulders were impossibly broad. The legs were bent at an angle that looked almost human. I stood there for what might have been 5 minutes or 30. My brain kept trying to categorize what I was seeing into something normal, something explainable. But there was no normal explanation. I was looking at a Bigfoot, a dead Bigfoot. My first instinct was to run. My second was to pull out my phone and take pictures. My third was to call someone, anyone, who could tell me what the hell I was supposed to do. I took out my phone. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely unlock the screen. I took maybe 20 photos from different angles, zooming in on the hands, the face, which I could partially see now, flatter than an ape's, the nose more human, the feet, which were massive and flat. Then I backed away slowly, returned to Murphy, and half walked, half ran back to my house. In my office, I sat at my desk and stared at the photos on my phone. They were real. The thing in the woods was real. I could see it in high definition on my screen, the individual hairs, the leathery skin on the palms, the wounds across the torso that looked like they'd been made by a large predator. I Googled who to call if you find a cryptid. Nothing useful. I tried who to contact about Bigfoot discovery. Just enthusiast forums and hoax debunking sites. Finally, I called the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. The woman who answered sounded bored. "Department of Fish and Wildlife, how can I help you?" I need to report finding a dead animal on my property." "What kind of animal?" I hesitated. "I'm not sure. It's large, really large, and I don't recognize the species." "Can you describe it?" "It's approximately 8 feet tall, bipedal, covered in dark brown fur. The hands and face are somewhat humanoid, but not human." There was a long pause. "Sir, are you reporting a dead person?" No, it's definitely not human, but it's not any animal I've ever seen. I think you need to send someone to look at this." Another pause. I could hear typing. "What's your name and address?" I gave her the information. She told me someone would call me back within 2 hours. 90 minutes later, my phone rang. Unknown number. "Mr. Patterson, this is Agent Wesley with the U.S. Forest Service. I understand you found something unusual on your property." Not Fish and Wildlife. Forest Service. And he'd called himself an agent, not a ranger. "Yes, I'm not sure what it is, but we'd like to send a team to take a look. Would you be available this afternoon?" "Of course. How soon can you—" "We'll be there in 40 minutes." He hung up. I stood in my kitchen, staring at my phone. 40 minutes. They were already on their way. How were they already on their way? Maybe they'd been in the area. Maybe this was standard procedure for unusual wildlife reports. But something felt wrong about how fast this was moving. 37 minutes later, 2 black SUVs pulled into my driveway. 4 men got out. All of them wore dark suits, not ranger uniforms, not fish and wildlife gear. Suits. The one who approached my front door was in his 40s, average height, with the kind of face you'd forget 5 minutes after meeting him. He held up an ID too quickly for me to read it properly. "Mr. Patterson, Agent Wesley. Thank you for reporting this. Can you show us where the body is?" "Are you with the Forest Service?" "That's correct. We handle unusual incidents in federal forest lands." "My property isn't federal land." "No, but it borders it, and based on your description, this animal likely came from federal land. Shall we?" I led them into the woods. Murphy barked furiously from inside the house. I'd locked him in before they arrived. Wesley walked beside me. The other 3 men followed, carrying large aluminum cases. "You said approximately 8 feet tall?" Wesley asked. "Yes, give or take." "And you've touched nothing?" "No, I took some photos and left." Smart. We reached the clearing. The body was exactly where I'd left it, though the smell had intensified in the afternoon heat. Wesley stopped at the tree line. He studied the body for a long moment, then turned to his men and nodded. They moved into the clearing with the efficiency of people who'd done this before. They set down their cases and began photographing, measuring, taking samples. Wesley stayed with me. "Mr. Patterson, I need to ask you some questions." "Okay." "Who else knows about this?" "No one. Just the woman I spoke to at Fish and Wildlife, and now you." "Have you posted anything online? Shared your photos?" "No." "Have you called any media, researchers, cryptozoology organizations?" "No. I called Fish and Wildlife, they transferred me somewhere, then you called me. This all happened in the last 2 hours." He nodded slowly. "Good. That's very good." One of the other men called out, "Wesley, you need to see this." We approached the body. Up close, the size was even more staggering. The shoulders were at least 4 feet across. The hands were the size of baseball gloves. The man was pointing at the wounds, deep gashes across the abdomen and chest. "Grizzly?" Wesley asked. "Maybe, but look at this." He pointed to what looked like a bullet wound in the upper shoulder. Small caliber. 9mm, maybe. Wesley's expression didn't change. Noted. They worked for another 20 minutes, taking samples of fur, blood, and tissue. They photographed the wounds extensively. One of them made a plaster cast of the left hand. Then Wesley walked back to me. "Mr. Patterson, I'm going to explain something to you, and I need you to listen carefully." My stomach dropped. "What you found today is classified. This animal is part of an ongoing federal wildlife study that requires absolute confidentiality. We will be removing the body. You will not discuss this discovery with anyone. You will delete all photographs you took. You will not post about this online or speak to any media." "What? This is not a request. This is a matter of national security." "National security? It's a dead animal." "Mr. Patterson." His voice didn't rise, but it hardened. "There are approximately 2,000 of these animals remaining in North America. They are critically endangered. They are protected under a classification system that supersedes the Endangered Species Act. Public knowledge of their existence would lead to hunting, poaching, habitat destruction, and likely extinction. Do you understand?" I stared at him. "You're saying Bigfoot is real, and the government knows." "I'm saying you found a deceased specimen of an extremely rare primate species. And yes, relevant federal agencies are aware of their existence and have been for decades. Our job is to protect them. Your job, right now, is to keep them protected by keeping silent. And if I don't? Then you will be prosecuted under federal wildlife protection laws, national security statutes, and possibly the Espionage Act. You will face felony charges. You will lose your freedom." He said it calmly, matter-of-factly. "But I don't think that will be necessary," he continued, "because you seem like a reasonable person who cares about conservation. You did the right thing by calling us. Now do the right thing by letting us handle this." One of the other men approached. "We're ready to transport." From the aluminum cases, they pulled out what looked like a large, heavy-duty body bag. Working together, the three men maneuvered the massive body into the bag, zipped it closed, and carried it between them back toward the vehicles. It took all three of them to lift it. Wesley handed me a card. It was blank except for a phone number. "If you find anything else unusual on your property, call this number. If anyone contacts you asking questions about today, call this number. If you have questions or concerns, call this number." What was it really? I mean, what species? "I can't discuss classification details." "How long have you known they exist?" "Long enough to have protocols in place." He turned to follow his men, then paused. "Mr. Patterson, I mean this sincerely. Thank you for calling us instead of calling CNN. You may have saved lives today, both human and otherwise." Then he walked away. The SUVs left 10 minutes later, the body loaded in the back of the second vehicle. I stood in my driveway and watched them disappear down the road. I didn't delete the photos. I know I was supposed to. I know that was the deal. But I transferred them from my phone to an encrypted drive, then deleted them from my phone and cloud storage. I told myself it was insurance. Proof that I wasn't crazy, that this had really happened. For 3 days, I barely slept. I kept expecting the men in suits to come back, to search my house, to find the photos and arrest me. But no one came. Life went back to normal. I worked. I walked Murphy. I avoided the part of the woods where I'd found the body. By the 4th day, I'd almost convinced myself to move on, to accept what Wesley had said, to protect the species by staying silent. Then I checked my security camera footage. I had 3 cameras on my property, one on the front door, one covering the driveway, and one pointing at the backyard and woods. I pulled up the footage from October 14th and fast-forwarded through the hours after the SUVs left. At 8:47 p.m., something moved past the backyard camera. I paused the video and went frame by frame. It was massive, bipedal, moving quickly through the trees at the edge of the camera's range. Another one. There was another one on my property. I watched the footage 3 more times. It was there for less than 2 seconds, but it was unmistakable. They lived in these woods. The body I'd found wasn't an anomaly. There was a population here. My hands were shaking again. I called the number on Wesley's card. It rang once. Patterson residence. Go ahead. Not hello. Not Agent Wesley speaking. They knew it was me before I said a word. This is David Patterson. I need to speak with Agent Wesley. 1 moment. 30 seconds later, Wesley's voice. Mr. Patterson, is there a problem? There's another one. I have footage from my security camera. The night you took the body, something walked past my camera. Same size, same build. Silence. Are you at home right now? Yes. Don't leave. I'll be there in 2 hours. This time, Wesley came alone. He sat at my kitchen table and watched the security footage on my laptop. I'd queued it up to the relevant timestamp. He watched it 3 times without speaking. Have you seen any others? He finally asked. No. Heard anything? Found any signs? No. He closed the laptop. Mr. Patterson, I'm going to tell you something that very few civilians know. The species you discovered, we call them Gigantopithecus americanus in official reports, though the colloquial name is accurate enough. They live in family groups, usually 3 to 6 individuals. If you found a body, there's likely a group nearby that's missing a member. How many groups are in Washington? That's classified, but enough that occasional encounters like yours are inevitable. Why not just tell people? If they're endangered, wouldn't public knowledge help protect them? He smiled grimly. You'd think so, but we ran models. Every scenario where we announce their existence leads to disaster. Hunters who want the trophy, developers who want the land, researchers who want to study them, which means capturing them, which means harm. Within 5 years of public disclosure, our models predict the species would be extinct or reduced to a handful of specimens in captivity. So you keep them secret. We keep them safe. What about the one that walked past my camera? Is it dangerous? They're not aggressive unless threatened. In 70 years of monitoring, we've documented only 9 attacks on humans. All of them were clear cases of self-defense, people who got too close to offspring or cornered an individual. He paused. But you live on the edge of their habitat now. You need to be aware. What am I supposed to do? Live your life. Don't go looking for them. If you see one, give it space. If one approaches your house, call the number immediately. He stood up. And Mr. Patterson, if I were you, I'd consider disconnecting those security cameras. Why? Because if you capture footage of a living specimen and that footage ever gets out, even accidentally, you'll face serious consequences. The dead animal is one thing. Living proof is another. He left. I sat in my kitchen for a long time after he drove away. Then I went outside and unplugged all 3 security cameras. November 2019 brought early snow to the Cascades. I watched from my office window as the first flakes fell, covering the meadow behind my house in white. On November 8th, I found tracks. They were in the snow near my back fence, maybe 50 yards from the house. Huge prints, at least 18 inches long and 7 inches wide. 5 toes clearly visible. I took a photo with my phone, then immediately deleted it. The tracks led from the woods along my fence line for maybe 30 yards, then back into the trees. Something had been watching my house. That night, I heard it. I was in bed, almost asleep, when a sound cut through the silence. A vocalization. Deep and resonant, somewhere between a howl and a roar, but with an almost melodic quality. It came from the woods behind my house. Murphy started barking. I got up and looked out the bedroom window. Nothing, just darkness and trees and falling snow. The sound came again, closer this time. I picked up my phone and dialed Wesley's number. Patterson residence? There's something outside my house. I heard vocalizations, twice. Are you in immediate danger? I don't know. I don't think so. Stay inside. Lock your doors. I'll have someone there in 90 minutes. The vocalizations came twice more in the next hour, both times from different locations around my property, as if something was circling the house. At 2:34 a.m., headlights turned into my driveway. It was Wesley again, this time with one other person, a woman in her 30s, wearing tactical gear and carrying what looked like a rifle. Any recent activity? Wesley asked when I opened the door. Not in the last hour. The woman moved past me and walked through my house, checking windows and doors. She moved with military precision. Mr. Patterson, this is Dr. Sarah Chen. She's a field specialist with our wildlife monitoring program. Dr. Chen returned to the living room. Perimeter looks clear. No fresh tracks near the house. But there were tracks this morning, I said. Near the back fence? I saw them, Dr. Chen said. Adult male, probably the same individual from your security footage. He's been monitoring this location. Monitoring? Why? Wesley and Dr. Chen exchanged a glance. The specimen you found on October 14th was a juvenile female, Wesley said. Approximately 19 years old. The individual circling your property is likely her father or another family group member. My stomach sank. He's looking for her. Possibly, or he's determining if you're a threat. They're intelligent, Mr. Patterson. Comparable to great apes, possibly higher. He's trying to understand what happened here. What do I do? Dr. Chen spoke. Nothing aggressive. Don't go into the woods alone. Don't make loud noises or bright lights outside at night. Don't leave food out. Basically, don't give him a reason to see you as interesting or threatening. How long will this last? Hard to say. Days, weeks. They're persistent when investigating disturbances in their territory. She paused, but eventually he'll move on. They stayed for another hour, Dr. Chen sweeping the woods with thermal imaging equipment. She picked up one heat signature about 300 yards into the forest, large, bipedal, stationary. He's watching us right now, she said quietly. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. Wesley told me to call if anything escalated, and they left. I didn't sleep that night. The vocalizations continued for 6 more days. On November 15th, I found something on my back porch. It was a deer skull, clean and bleached, placed in the center of the porch facing my back door. I called Wesley immediately. "Don't touch it," he said. "Take a photo and text it to me." I did. It's a gift. What? Or a peace offering. This behavior has been documented before. They sometimes leave items, bones, rocks, arranged branches, at locations they frequent. It's not fully understood, but it's generally considered a non-aggressive communication attempt. What do I do with it? Leave it for now. It may be a test to see how you respond. The skull stayed on my porch for 3 days. Then, on November 18th, it was gone. In its place was a river stone, smooth and dark, about the size of a softball. By December, a pattern had emerged. Every few days something would appear on my back porch. Stones, bones. Once, a perfect bird's nest. Once, a cluster of pine cones arranged in a careful pile. I never saw who left them. On December 23rd, I did something probably stupid. I bought a bag of apples from the grocery store. That evening, I put 3 of them on my back porch, next to the stone that had been left there the day before. The next morning was Christmas Eve. The apples were gone. In their place were 3 stones, each slightly different in size and color, arranged in a neat line. I stood on my porch and looked at those stones for a long time. Then I looked at the woods and spoke out loud. I'm sorry about her. I didn't hurt her. I tried to help. My breath fogged in the cold morning air. That night, Christmas Eve, I heard something different. Not a vocalization, not aggressive or investigative. It sounded almost like singing. A low, resonant humming that rose and fell in patterns that seemed deliberate. It lasted maybe 5 minutes. Murphy didn't bark. He sat next to me at the window, head tilted, listening. By January 2020, I'd fallen into a strange routine. Every few days, I'd leave food on the back porch. Apples, nuts, berries when I could find them. Every few days, something would be left in return. We were communicating. I was trading food with a Bigfoot. I felt less alone. That sounds insane, I know. But there was another consciousness in my woods, another thinking being who noticed my presence, who responded to my gestures. On January 28th, everything changed again. I woke up at 6 a.m. to Murphy barking frantically. There was something large on my back porch. He was sitting, his back against my house, legs stretched out in front of him. He was massive, easily 8 feet tall, even sitting down. And he was hurt. His right leg was torn open, a gash that ran from knee to ankle. Blood had pooled on my porch. He turned his head slowly and looked directly at me. The eyes were brown, deep and clear and absolutely aware. Then, very deliberately, he raised his left hand and placed it flat against my back door. He was asking for help. I unlocked the door and opened it. Up close, he was beyond comprehension. The face was flatter than a gorilla's, more human in structure, but not human. The smell was strong, musky, and animal. He didn't move, just watched me with those brown eyes. Jesus, I whispered. What happened to you? The leg wound was deep, ragged. It looked like he'd been caught in a trap. Can you walk? When I gestured toward the house, he understood. Slowly, painfully, he pushed himself up, using the wall. He moved into my house. I was letting a Bigfoot into my house. He lowered himself carefully onto my kitchen floor. His head nearly touched the ceiling, even sitting down. I grabbed my first aid kit from under the sink, then realized how inadequate it was. I should call someone. I pulled out my phone and dialed Wesley's number. It rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. I looked at the wound again. It was still bleeding. I have to clean this, I said. It's going to hurt. I grabbed a clean towel, ran it under hot water, and approached slowly. He watched me, but didn't move away. I knelt next to him and began carefully cleaning the wound. The blood was red, normal red. The skin underneath the fur was dark gray. He made a low sound, not aggressive, just acknowledgement of pain. I know, I'm sorry. I worked for 20 minutes, cleaning as best I could, applying antibiotic ointment, wrapping the leg with gauze that barely covered half the wound. When I finished, I sat back on my heels. That's the best I can do. He looked at the bandage, then at me. Then he reached out slowly and touched my shoulder. The hand was huge. He could have crushed my collarbone without effort. Instead, he just rested his hand there for a moment. Then he stood up and moved toward the back door. Wait. But he was already outside. He limped across my yard and disappeared into the trees. I stood in my kitchen, staring at the blood on my floor. Wesley finally called back 2 days later. Mr. Patterson, I apologize for the delay. One of them came to my house. He was injured. I let him inside. Silence. Mr. Patterson, I know, but he was bleeding out on my porch, and you didn't answer your phone. Where is he now? Gone. He left right after I bandaged his leg. You made physical contact? I had to. The wound needed to be cleaned. Did he show any aggression? None. He was gentle. Describe the injury. I told him about the wound. Trap injury, Wesley said. We've been seeing more illegal traps in the national forest. He paused. You did the right thing helping him, but Mr. Patterson, you can't do that again. He came to me. What was I supposed to do? No, you did the right thing, but be careful. Physical contact increases risk of disease transmission and habituation. Wesley, what the hell is happening? You live on the edge of their habitat. You're going to have encounters. The question is how you handle them. And how should I handle them? Continue what you're doing. Non-aggressive contact, minimal interference. February and March of 2020 brought COVID-19. The world shut down. My isolation became normal. I saw the injured one 3 more times, once in late February, limping through the trees. The leg looked better. Once in mid-March, standing at the edge of my property at dawn. When I opened the back door and raised a hand, he raised his in return. By May, spring had fully arrived, and I saw more than one of them. May 17th, 2020. Murphy started barking at the back window. I looked out. There were 3 of them in my backyard. The injured one was standing near the tree line. Next to him was a slightly smaller one. Female, I thought, and in front of both of them was a juvenile, maybe 5 feet tall, covered in lighter brown fur, unmistakably young. They were showing me their family. The juvenile took a step toward the house. The male made a low grunt. The juvenile stopped. They stayed like that for maybe 5 minutes. Then they were gone. I sat down at my desk and put my head in my hands. The juvenile female I'd found in October had been their daughter. They'd lost a child, and somehow they'd decided I wasn't their enemy. I called Wesley. They showed me their family, I said, the 3 of them, in my backyard. That's unprecedented. What does it mean? It means they trust you, Mr. Patterson. That summer, I fell into a routine that felt almost normal. I saw them regularly now. Usually the male, I'd started calling him Eli in my head. Sometimes the female, Sarah. Occasionally the juvenile, Moss. They'd appear at the tree line, visible and unhidden. The gift exchange continued. In July, Moss left me a drawing. It looked like scratches on a flat piece of birch bark. But when I examined it closely, I could see it was intentional. Lines that formed a simple picture. A house, my house, and 2 figures. He was communicating. I got a sketchbook and colored pencils. I drew a simple picture. Me, Murphy, and my house. Then I drew the 3 of them in the trees. I left the sketchbook on the porch that night. The next morning, it was gone. The morning after that, it was back. Moss had drawn on the next page. We were having a conversation, through pictures. The exchanges continued through August and September. Moss's drawings became more detailed. I was teaching a young Bigfoot about the world. October 2020 marked 1 year since I'd found the body. On October 14th, I left flowers, wildflowers I'd picked from my meadow. I arranged them carefully in a circle. The next morning, they were gone. In their place was a white quartz stone. I held it and cried. That night, I heard the singing again, multiple voices this time. It lasted maybe 15 minutes. It sounded like a memorial. When it stopped, I spoke out loud. I'm sorry I couldn't save her. Silence. Then, from the woods, a single call. Just acknowledgement. By early 2021, I'd been keeping this secret for 16 months. The isolation was taking a toll. I'd stopped calling my sister. I existed in a bubble of silence. But I had the family. In March, Eli approached my back porch in daylight. He gestured toward the woods, then back at me. You want me to follow you? He gestured again. Every protocol said no. But Eli was asking. Okay. I followed him into the woods. We walked for maybe 20 minutes. We came to a rocky outcropping with a large opening at the base. Sarah was inside, and she was in labor. I stopped dead. "Oh, Jesus, Eli, I can't—" He gestured me forward anyway. I had no idea what to do. I pulled out my phone. No signal. I knelt down near Sarah and just stayed there. When the infant emerged, Sarah gathered it to her chest immediately. It made a sound, a little cry. Sarah made a sound back, soft and loving. I realized I was crying. "Congratulations," I whispered. When I got home, I called Wesley. "I just watched one of them give birth." "You what?" I told him everything. "In 70 years of monitoring, no one has ever witnessed a birth," he said. "This is extraordinary." "What do I do now?" "If you're willing, I'd like you to document anything you observe. Written notes. This is invaluable research." "Will this help protect them?" "Yes." "Then I'll do it." That night I started a journal. Watching the baby grow was a privilege. I named her Luna in my notes because of a pale patch of fur on her forehead. By May, she was walking. By July, she was climbing trees. By September, she was coming to my porch with the others. Moss was protective. He'd stay between Luna and me. I documented everything: development, behaviors, vocalizations. Wesley said my observations were changing their understanding of the species. By 2022, I'd been keeping this secret for over 3 years. The strain was immense. I'd completely withdrawn from anything resembling a social life. But the family in my woods had become my family too. In June, I found traps again. 3 of them set up deep in the woods. I called Wesley immediately. "I need them removed, now." They cleared the traps, but more kept appearing. In August, I found blood, a trail of it leading toward the family's territory. Moss's hand was injured. 2 fingers were mangled. I ran home, grabbed my first aid kit, and ran back. I cleaned and wrapped his hand. When I finished, he hugged me. This juvenile Bigfoot put his arms around me and held on. I hugged him back. "You have to be more careful," I said. "I can't lose you." Fall of 2022 brought a new development. Luna started leaving drawings on my porch. We started our own exchange. By November, her drawings included incredible detail. One morning, I found a drawing that made me stop breathing. It showed 5 figures: Eli, Sarah, Moss, Luna, and me. I was drawn as part of their family. By 2023, I'd been documenting the family for nearly 4 years. My journals filled 3 notebooks. Wesley told me it was the most comprehensive study of the species ever conducted. But I was running out of money. In March, I lost my job. Wesley called 2 weeks later. "How would you feel about working for us? The program needs someone on the ground. The pay isn't great, but it would allow you to stay." I accepted. Working for the program changed everything. I now had official protocols and better resources. But it also formalized my isolation. By mid-2023, Moss was approaching adulthood. Luna was wildly intelligent. Eli and Sarah seemed to be aging. In September, Sarah got sick. She was in the shelter, lying down, breathing shallowly. Fever. Wesley sent Dr. Chen with antibiotics. "Bacterial pneumonia," Dr. Chen said. "We need to start treatment immediately." She taught me how to give injections. Over the next 9 days, I gave Sarah 3 more shots. She recovered fully. When I gave the final injection, Eli touched my hand. October 2023 marked 4 years since I'd found the body. On October 14th, I left 5 flowers, 1 for each member of the family, including the one we'd lost. The next morning, there were 5 white stones on my porch. 2024 brought changes. In February, Moss left. When he returned 3 weeks later, he had a mate. Wesley explained it was standard behavior. I felt like I'd lost a son. Luna took over the drawing exchanges. In May, she drew something that shocked me, a human figure with a rifle. "Luna, did you see someone?" She made an agitated sound. I called Wesley immediately. For 2 weeks, Dr. Chen's team swept the area. They found evidence of a camp. 2 weeks later, more traps appeared. Bigger ones. Someone was hunting the family. By June, the situation had become critical. Traps were appearing faster than Wesley's team could clear them. On June 18th, I found a trail camera. I smashed it and took the SD card. The footage showed the family. Clear, undeniable footage. Someone had proof. Wesley tried to trace it. No way to identify the buyer. On July 12th, I found another camera. On July 19th, another. On July 24th, I saw them. 2 men checking a trap. We get proof, we're set. The bidder in Dubai is offering $2 million. They weren't hunting to kill. They were hunting to capture and sell. August 1st, 2024. I woke up to Eli's distress call. I ran into the woods. Luna was gone. "They took her," I told Wesley. "I'm calling in every available agent." "That could take days." "Mr. Patterson, we have protocols." "Fuck your protocols." I hung up. Eli was waiting. "I'll find her. I promise." He turned and ran into the forest. Sarah followed. We tracked for hours. By noon, we reached a road. Tire tracks. They'd taken her by vehicle. Wesley called at 3 p.m. State police stopped a van. 2 men, tranquilizer equipment, were questioning them. They had to release the men after 48 hours. But Wesley's team tracked their vehicle. On August 4th, they led us to a storage facility. Wesley called at 1:37 a.m. We found her. She's alive. At 5:30 a.m., they brought Luna home. Sarah rushed forward and grabbed her. The sounds they made, relief and love and anguish. Luna looked over Sarah's shoulder at me. She reached out her hand. I walked forward and took it. "You're safe now. You're home." The family didn't come to my property for 3 months. In November, Moss appeared at the tree line. I waved. He waved back. On December 1st, Luna left a drawing. It showed her family together, safe, and me standing nearby. Which brings us to now. It's November 11th, 2025. 2 weeks ago, Eli died. I found him on my back porch. He'd come to my house, maybe because he knew. He was lying peacefully, eyes closed. I sat beside him and cried. Wesley's team took his body. Dr. Chen said it was heart failure, natural causes. Sarah, Moss, and Luna came that night. They stood at the tree line, vocalizing. I stood on my porch and sang with them. 2 days ago, Wesley called. "We're going public, next month." What? The program is going public. Documentaries, scientific papers, federal protection. We're done hiding them. Why now? Because hiding them isn't working. The technology is too good. The hunters are too persistent. With proper legislation, we believe we can protect them. How does this affect me? Your documentation is the foundation. You'll be credited as the lead field researcher. Your name will be public. And the family? Your property becomes a protected research site, federal agents on permanent patrol. The announcement is scheduled for December 1st. This morning, Luna appeared at my tree line. She was alone. She handed me a drawing. It showed the 2 of us, Luna and me, standing side by side. At the bottom, in crude letters, "Thank you." I knelt down. "You're welcome, Luna, for everything." She touched my face gently. Then she walked back into the forest. In 3 weeks, the world will learn that Bigfoot is real. Yesterday, a reporter asked me, "Do you regret it?" I thought about it. Then I answered, "I found something impossible. I chose protection. It cost me nearly everything, but it also gave me a family and a purpose. I don't regret trying to save them." What would you say to them now? I looked at the camera. I'm sorry the world is about to intrude. I'm sorry I couldn't keep you hidden forever, but I promise I will fight for you for the rest of my life. I'm 52 years old now. For 6 years, I've kept the biggest secret imaginable. In 3 weeks, that secret becomes public. I don't know what comes next, but I know this. I witnessed something extraordinary. I was given the privilege of knowing a family that shouldn't exist, but does. And if I had to do it all over again, the isolation, the fear, the sacrifice, I would. Because some secrets are worth keeping, and some families are worth protecting, even impossible ones, especially impossible ones.